Payne from College Station, he said, I got a good feeling about A&M this fall. I can't really explain it. Have you ever just had a good feeling about a team going into the fall? Yeah, Payne, sometimes that makes you look really dumb. Hope this works out for you. But yeah, I've had that before, and it's worked out. LSU 2019 worked out beautifully for me, obviously. But other times, not so much. Speaking of your team, I called your team a disaster-proof roster last year. Payne, how did that work out for me? Pain. That different kind of pain. That's how it worked out for me. But let's just examine this. It's not the first time I've heard someone say this after the spring game. They got this funny feeling in their stomach about Texas A&M all of a sudden. I can make the argument. I certainly can. They on the odds market, Texas A&M to win the national championship has gone from plus 6,000 to plus 3,000 in the last 2 weeks. They cut their odds in half. Someone likes what they saw. They're not, vaulted into the top 10 by any stretch, but someone likes what they saw. They lost 30 guys to the portal. That sounds really bad until you realize they're still 7th in the country in returning offensive production. So it's not the kind of losses that it sounds like. It's also not a net loss of 30 players. They're steadily adding guys from the portal too. So it's called roster churn. They're overturning their roster. Like I said, 7th in the country in returning production as it stands now. They'll probably add some more players. Bobby Petrino takes over. An offense with a 5-star quarterback, wide receiver, running back. Hey, what did we hear from the other day? And what did we not see any of the other day in the spring game? Deception, motion. We'll see it this fall. Now, I have already made my thoughts clear about when we'll ultimately find out about A&M and this whole offensive dynamic. It will be pretty early in the year. The first sign of a struggle. Is it still Bobby Petrino running the offensive show? I'm not going to bore you to death with that again. But there are players. There are players out there. 5 stars all over the defense. But like I said, 5-star quarterback, 5-star running back, 5-star receiver. They had 7 losses last year. That's what everyone looks at. I looked at it too. They were ugly. Or were they? 5 of those losses were by 6 points or less. They beat LSU at the end of the year. They beat Arkansas at the time Arkansas was ranked. That was a close game, by the way. That kind of sent Arkansas' season into a tailspin. They beat Miami. I know you don't remember this, but once upon a time, Miami was ranked 13th in the country last year. That didn't last very long. So how far do they have to go? How far? How much correction really is there needed? This is where I think things may be a little warped with the whole national perspective on Texas A&M. There is a thought out there that they've got to overturn everything. And that's just not the case. Anytime a vast majority of your losses are by one possession, that's one play. That is one false start that backs you up 5 yards and forces you to punt instead of going for it on 4th down. It's just fractions here and bounces of ball there and just mistiming and miscues here. As Jimbo would tell you, it's all about execution. And he's not wrong. Sometimes the way he uses that's a little overboard, but he's not wrong. But the perception of how much needs to change, just degrees, just inches here and inches there. Connor Wegman should be the starting quarterback out there, should be. And once upon a time, we had Jimbo Fisher on the signing day show when they were signing Wegman. And this was right before he yelled at me about sliced bread. He said, well, we took him because we think he's the best in America. And I said, Quinn Ewers was in the transfer portal, and Jimbo said, yeah, I'm including him. Connor Wegman was the best in America. That's the best quarterback out there this cycle. Should be your starting quarterback by now. I'm not saying he won't be. He's battling Max Johnson out there. I think he'll be their starting quarterback. And week 2 is where it really gets interesting. In fact, the entire state of Texas, let me paint you a picture of the out-of-conference picture. Ugh, a lot of pictures. Let me paint you the out-of-conference picture for a lot of these programs in Texas in week 2. We got A&M at Miami. We got Texas at Alabama. We got Oregon at Texas Tech and Utah at Baylor, all in the same afternoon. Circle week 2. You hate all the incestuous conference scheduling, $5 for the first usage of incestuous on the show. You hate how you get all the conference games. Well, we got some across-the-board must-see out-of-conference games for a bunch of these programs. Oh, and Houston plays Rice that day. So Houston deals with food, and the rest of you got some chores that Saturday afternoon in early September. So, yeah, you could feel good about A&M. You feel a lot better than you did last year. There's nothing wrong with that. That's what God created April for. How many times do we have to talk about this? A&M in the SEC, when it comes to college football playoff title odds, they have the 5th best odds. And they've gone from plus 6,000 to plus 3,000. Only Tennessee, LSU, Bama, and Georgia are listed ahead of them. And I forget where FPI had A&M, but I'm sure they got them up there somewhere.